What's up, everybody? So we're continuing to go back and look at what was being printed in the papers when Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey were originally arrested for the murder of Teresa Halbach. It's sort of like a live timeline of events, but a live timeline of events of something that happened 18 years ago. We finished up 2005 recently, and now we're into 2006. This one is from the Janesville Gazette on January 17th, 2006. Now, of course, we have not yet gotten into any of Brendan Dassey's involvement in this situation. This is still strictly dealing with Steven Avery, as Brendan Dassey has not been brought into the case yet. This one states Steven Avery to plead not guilty to homicide. Mashot man facing a murder charge. A man who spent nearly 2 decades in prison for a crime he didn't commit was expected to plead not guilty today to killing a woman in Manitowoc County. Steven Avery is accused of killing and burning the body of 25-year-old photographer Teresa Halbach. She was last seen October 31st at his family's salvage yard in rural Mashot, photographing a minivan for sale. Steven Avery, 43, was freed from prison 2 years ago when DNA testing implicated another man in the crime. Avery, who worked and lived next to the salvage yard, has been ordered to stand trial on charges of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, and possession of firearms by a convicted felon. His arraignment was scheduled for today in Manitowoc County Circuit Court. His attorneys state he would plead not guilty. They didn't immediately return a message on Monday for a comment. The attorneys have also said they plan to ask the judge to reduce his $500,000 cash bond and may ask for a change of venue. Steven Avery has continuously asserted his innocence. Avery said he thinks he's being set up because he filed a $36 million federal lawsuit against Manitowoc County, where he was convicted of the crime in 1985. He served 18 years in prison. Manitowoc County officials deny the setup. Investigators were still awaiting results from the evidence tests done by the State Crime Lab and the FBI. Some evidence has been returned, but Pagel denied to comment on it and referred questions about it to the Calumet County District Attorney, Ken Kratz. Special prosecutor on the case, Ken Kratz, won't comment on the case. Boy, did that change quickly. This next one is from January 18th, and it is from the Madison, Wisconsin State Journal. Avery's family may postpone through property. And above that is a picture of Mike Halbach, Teresa Halbach's brother. A family member of a murder suspect who spent 18 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit said Tuesday they think they could post his $500,000 bond as early as next week. As we know now, that didn't happen. Steven Avery, 43, is accused of killing and burning 25-year-old photographer Teresa Halbach. He pleaded not guilty Tuesday at an arraignment where Manitowoc County Circuit Court Judge Patrick Willis refused to lower his $500,000 bond, but Willis said he would consider a mortgage of the family's property instead of cash. Halbach was last seen October 31st at the Avery family salvage yard in rural Mashot, photographing a minivan. Alan Avery and brother Chuck said in telephone interviews after the hearing that they plan to have the family's properties in Manitowoc County assessed. The judge said Tuesday he decided to consider allowing Avery to post property instead of cash for his bond because he was a lifelong Manitowoc County resident and he had cooperated with investigators. Steven Avery's attorneys also filed a motion Tuesday seeking a change of venue, although they told the judge that they reserve the right to change their mind. The judge will rule later on the motion, and Willis scheduled a status conference for March 24th in the case. Attorneys must file other motions by March 17th. Steven Avery, who appeared in Tuesday in court in an orange jumpsuit, has asserted his innocence since Halbach's sports utility vehicle was found hidden among 4,000 vehicles at the Avery salvage yard. This next article is from January 20th, 2006. It is from the Janesville Gazette. FBI DNA tests confirm remains of missing woman. DNA evidence, which freed Steven Avery after proving another man committed a 1985 crime, is piling up against him in a murder of a 25-year-old photographer. Authorities said Thursday that the FBI analysis of teeth and bone remains found at his family's salvage yard in rural Mashot showed they are consistent with the DNA of photographer Teresa Halbach. The announcement runs counter to Avery's suggestions that she may still be alive, said her brother Mike Halbach. We're hoping this puts an end to some of the things that's being said about my sister. Authorities have accused Steven Avery of murdering Teresa Halbach and then burning her corpse to try and cover up the crime after she came to take pictures of a vehicle for sale at the salvage yard on October 31st, 2005. Steven Avery lived near the property. Steven Avery became a symbol of a flawed criminal justice system, and still is, when he was freed in 2003 after spending 18 years in prison for the 1985 crime against a woman on a Lake Michigan beach. DNA tests exonerated Steven Avery, who was originally convicted based on the woman's testimony and pointed to an offender imprisoned for another crime. After 2 years as a free man, Steven Avery came under suspicion again when Teresa Halbach vanished. He was charged with first-degree intentional homicide and mutilation of a corpse after authorities said they found charred remains that preliminary tests determined were Teresa Halbach's. Avery, 43, has maintained his innocence, claiming he is being framed in retaliation for his $36 million lawsuit against local authorities for his wrongful conviction and suggesting in interviews that Teresa Halbach might still be alive. But tests by the FBI laboratory matched DNA found on the remains with the DNA sample provided by Teresa Halbach's mother. Calumet County Sheriff Jerry Pagel announced Thursday a mother and daughter share certain DNA characteristics. The FBI analysis is consistent with a separate test at the Wisconsin Crime Lab that the charred remains are those of Teresa Halbach, Pagel said in a written statement. Mike Halbach and family members have given up hope that she was alive 1 month ago when they filled out her death certificate, but the tests show 100% proof that it was her. Steven Avery's court-appointed defense attorney did not return a phone message on Thursday. Steven Avery's family said Tuesday they were considering a mortgage on the family's properties in order to come up with the $500,000 bond to free Steven Avery from the Calumet County Jail until his trial. All right, and that's where I'm going to leave. That's where I'm going to leave today's video. We talked about how the FBI finally confirmed the remains of Teresa Halbach, that the Steven Avery's family were going to post the properties as bond, but that did not happen. And we talked about how Steven Avery was going to plead not guilty to homicide. So a lot of information there today. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the case. Let me know what you think of what's going on in the case now. What do you think of the articles that were printed then? Let me know. Leave some comments below. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you again soon.